Hey everyone, this is Chris Spark here with part 2 in my series, Christ Was No Christian. So who was he? In this series, I'm reading my essay of the same name, which you can find on my blog at www.sparkwrites.com, where you can also find all sorts of other goodies, including links to my 7 or 8 books of poetry and books of essays, which are all about a unified view of spirituality, culture, science, and psychology. We tend to slice things up in our culture, and I'm trying to blend it and connect it. In this series of essays, Christ Was No Christian, I suggest that neither atheism nor religion gets Jesus right. He's bigger, deeper, broader, and more important than any of these segmented, small ideas about him and his message. So I highly suggest that you listen to this video series in order to get the flow, and I'll put a link to the first video in the series in the description below, and you'll see the next video in the series on the screen at the end of this video. In the first video in this series, I said that our modern views of Jesus put him in boxes, the religious box, or even the atheistic box, or just the historical box. And I said that when I first read just the Gospels, which are the only accounts we have of Jesus, I was startled by the life that I sensed there. And it didn't seem like it was connected to Christianity and all the claptrap and artificiality that I associated with Christianity. All right, so here's the second part. It's called The Glow. Even my sheltered 20-something eyes could see that Christ wasn't a Christian in spirit. But neither was he in name. The first semblance of what we now call Christianity only emerged decades after Jesus died, slowly taking complex form from the ideas of people who never met him. Nor do the Gospels encourage us to believe that starting a religion was high or even anywhere on Christ's bucket list. The word church appears only twice in the Gospels, both times in passing. And even then, it's not really there. Church is a highly suspect translation of the Greek word ecclesias, which simply meant a gathering of people. There is nothing in the Gospels or anywhere else that suggests Jesus was concerned with setting up an organization, establishing a structure, writing down rules, or writing down anything at all. More to the point, the laborious project of a church makes no sense given Christ's central message, the imminence of the kingdom of heaven. But Jesus wasn't just a super nice guy either. He wasn't, in other words, simply a charismatic teacher with a strong moral message, as many non-religious humanists believe. Decent, intelligent people often like to imagine Jesus this way, shorn of all mystery and supernatural shenanigans. Thomas Jefferson went so far as to literally slice up the New Testament with a razor, cutting out all references to miracles, resurrections, and other tomfoolery, which he believed had been added by priests, quote, as instruments of riches and power to themselves. He then pasted together into what became known as the Jefferson Bible what he believed was, quote, the most sublime and benevolent code of morals which has ever been offered to man. True, perhaps. But Jefferson's razor, a perfect metaphor for the analytic Western mind, also slices the flesh from Jesus and leaves us just the bones. Modern scholars disagree a lot about Christ, but they all agree on one thing. He was perceived by everyone of his time, including his worst critics, as a powerful healer and miracle worker. Faith healing, indeed, has always happened and still does, whether through a placebo in a medical trial or under a sweaty tent in the Philippines. As for his other miraculous deeds, they are no more amazing than those attributed to Indian yogis for centuries, or attested to by thousands of everyday people from the dawn of civilization to the present day. Like many modern sophisticates, Jefferson was in the habit of ignoring anything that wasn't scientifically explainable, since science was, by definition, the only thing that could be real. Jefferson, along with many a modern intellectual, wanted the ethics teacher without the witch doctor. If we can't inflate Jesus to the grandiose status of the founder of a religion, nor shrink him down to nothing more than a simple moral exemplar, can we call him a spiritual teacher? This gets closer to his essence. The problem here is the fluorescent lit room we call the spiritual. We tend to feel that word as ethereal, unearthly, and lacking any version of human genitals. In our spirituality classroom, you should neither get angry nor sexually aroused, lest you be sent to the principal's office with all the other unevolved students. The Jesus of the Gospels, though, shows no inclination to distance himself from emotion, the pleasures of wining and dining, or from the lepers, prostitutes, fishermen, tax collectors, and other dusty denizens that teemed in all their imperfect earthiness around him. Jesus went everywhere, into streets, synagogues, private homes, and the wilderness. If Jesus taught spirituality, it wasn't the kind that required a clean yoga mat. So who was Jesus? The next video in this series is part 3. It's called The Landscape, and I talk a little bit about the world that Jesus moved in, the Roman Judea, the beliefs, the culture, just to set the scene.